Isabella sat in the corner of the Galactic Academy's Commons area, her fingers tracing the edges of her datapad as she reviewed stellar cartography notes. Around her, dozens of alien species mingled, the crystalline Vextar, the insectoid Kree, the towering Drachnor with their scaled purple skin. She'd learned to tune out the constant whispers that followed her wherever she went. Deathworlder. That's what they called humans. Citizens of Earth, that nightmare planet where everything from the weather to the wildlife seemed designed to kill. Where the atmosphere contained a corrosive gas that most species required protective suits to breathe. Where gravity crushed the unprepared and microscopic organisms waged invisible wars inside every living thing. Marcus approached with 2 cups of something the cafeteria claimed was coffee. "Still pretending you can't hear them?" he asked, settling beside her. "They'll get bored eventually," Isabella replied, accepting the cup with a grateful smile. Marcus was one of only 5 humans at the Academy, and they'd formed a natural alliance in this sea of alien faces. "I wouldn't count on it. Commander Zerrell's been particularly vocal today." Isabella's jaw tightened slightly, but she said nothing. Zerrell was a Drachnor, nearly 8 feet tall, with muscles that rippled beneath his scales like cables of steel. He commanded respect through intimidation, and he'd made it his personal mission to prove that humans didn't belong among the galactic elite. As if summoned by their conversation, Zerrell's booming voice cut through the ambient chatter. "Look at them, huddled together like frightened prey animals. Tell me again why the Council allowed Deathworlders into our ranks." Isabella kept her eyes on her datapad. Breathe. Count to 10. Remember the ambassador's words. Humans are here to prove we can coexist peacefully. "I heard they need artificial assistance just to process our standard nutrition," Zerrell continued, moving closer. "Their biology is so fragile, so primitive." Marcus tensed beside her. "Izzy." "It's fine," she whispered. But Zerrell wasn't finished. He loomed over their table now, his shadow engulfing them both. "Perhaps if we exposed them to a real planet, one with actual predators and challenges, they'd understand how inadequate they truly are." Isabella finally looked up, her dark eyes meeting his amber ones. "We've heard your theories, Commander, multiple times." "Have you?" Zerrell's lips curled back, revealing rows of serrated teeth. "Then perhaps you need a practical demonstration." His massive hand shot out and grabbed Marcus by the collar, lifting him from his seat as easily as one might lift a kitten. Marcus's coffee cup shattered on the floor. "Put him down!" Isabella's voice was quiet, level. Zerrell laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "Or what, little Deathworlder? Will you file a complaint? Cry to the Council?" He shook Marcus slightly. "Your kind talks about the dangers of your world. But I see nothing dangerous about—" He didn't finish the sentence. Isabella moved. To the other species in the room, it was almost too fast to follow. One moment she was seated, calm and composed. The next, she was airborne, her body a controlled missile. Her knee connected with Zerrell's elbow joint, forcing him to release Marcus. As the Drachnor turned toward her, startled, she was already pivoting, using his own considerable mass against him. Zerrell tried to grab her, but she was faster, much faster. Every human learned early that speed was survival on Earth. She ducked under his reaching arms, positioned herself behind him, and before he could react, her arms were around his thick neck. "I asked you nicely," she said, her voice still eerily calm. Zerrell thrashed, his superior strength evident. He could have crushed her if he'd landed a solid hit, but Isabella knew what every human child learned. Precision beats power, leverage beats strength. And on Earth, you didn't survive by being the biggest. You survived by being the smartest. Her arms tightened, finding the exact pressure points in Drachnor anatomy that she'd studied in her xenobiology classes. Not to attack anyone, she'd told herself then, just to understand. Izzy, don't, Marcus warned, picking himself up. But Zerrell made the fatal mistake. He reared back, trying to slam her into the wall behind them with the force that would have shattered the bones of any other species present. Isabella adjusted her grip, twisted sharply, and there was a crack that echoed through the suddenly silent commons. Zerrell dropped like a felled tree. Isabella released him, stepping back, her breathing barely elevated. The Draknor wasn't dead. His chest still rose and fell, but his neck was broken, his body temporarily paralyzed. He'd live after treatment, but the point was made. The room erupted into chaos. Someone called for medical assistance. Others backed away from Isabella as if she'd suddenly transformed into one of Earth's legendary monsters. "You broke his neck," a Vextar whispered, its crystalline voice tinkling with disbelief. "With your bare hands. He's twice your size." Isabella met the alien's multifaceted eyes. "On my world, everything is twice our size. The ocean predators, the land hunters, the atmospheric storms, the seismic events. We don't survive because we're the strongest. We survive because we adapt, because we learn, because we have to." She looked around the room at the gathered crowd. "Commander Zerrell wanted to know what makes Earth a death world. It's not just the planet. It's what the planet creates. Every human you meet has ancestors who survived impossible odds, generation after generation for millions of years. We are the product of the cruelest, most demanding training ground in the known galaxy." Marcus stood beside her, solidarity in his posture. "You wanted practical demonstration," he added quietly. Security forces arrived moments later, but the Academy's surveillance would tell the story. Unprovoked assault by a superior officer on a smaller student. Self-defense. By the book. As they escorted Isabella away for questioning, she caught sight of other students, alien students, looking at her with new understanding. Not fear, not anymore. Respect. The ambassador had wanted humans to prove they could coexist peacefully. Isabella had just proved something more important. That peace was a choice humans made, not a limitation they suffered from. And that made all the difference.